What is up, Bucs fans? We are live on a Saturday night. We have doing a special podcast. Me and Mark were discussing a lot of things about this football team, and just wanted to share it with all you guys. Hope you guys are having a great weekend, enjoying football as it continues to be a great Saturday night playoff as we see the Washington Commanders hanging in there with Detroit. So really good game going on. But we're going to talk about the Buccaneers 2024 season, just kind of give an overview of our thoughts and opinions, and then obviously what needs to take place moving forward into 2025. But with that said, I'm your host, Michael Plus, joined as always my good co-host, Mark Ramirez. Mark, it's good to see you. Hope you're having a great Saturday. And yeah, let's talk about everything with this Buccaneers team as we move forward.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing, everyone's got the question mark of what direction are we heading into, not just the team in general, but
Mhm.
the head coach, right? You have the whole side that hates Todd Bowles with a passion. Then you
Mhm.
have the other guys who are like, well, we're always in games, we're close, we just need a little bit more. What is that little bit more? Is it better defense? Is it better execution on offense? Is it more pass rush? Is it better coverage? But, like, when you sum up a lot of it, this is why we're in this podcast tonight. It's
Mhm.
like, well, when you look at the grand scheme of things, the whole what the 2024 season looked like, what it looked like was a massive improvement on offense on every account. Like,
Mhm.
that's where we were talking about. Like,
Yeah.
we were the 32nd ranked rush offense. We ended up being the 4th ranked rush offense for yards per carry, right?
Mhm.
Per game.
Yeah.
17th pass offense, went all the way up to, I believe, 3rd, and then the 20th, I believe, points per game. What do we get up to? We're in the top 10, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Top
So,
five, I believe.
top 5. So, like, you look at that, your offense, and last year, you're looking at what Canales brought. Everyone thought he was a massive upgrade. People didn't want to lose him, right? Don't let him go. We can't let him go. I even felt that way. I was like, geez, like, and then we get Liam Cohen, and it looks like astronomical gains in top 5 in almost everything. Broken records in one damn year. Is it small sample size? Yes, very small sample size. But you look at what tree he's from, the Sean McVay, you saw what he did in Kentucky, and it's
Mhm.
not a one-trick pony type of offense like the Tony Spiranos in Miami, which is the stupid, the wrinkle of, what was it? Jet sweeps and quarterbacks running all the time, running backs taking it from the shot.
Yeah.
It's not, or Chip Kelly gimmicky stuff. It's an actual offense that attacks space, utilizes the personnel, and if one guy goes down, look what the hell you can do. Kate Otten was a star for 3 to 4 games. So that was the
Mhm.
biggest thing we're talking about. And
Yeah.
then that made me heavily lean towards Liam Cohen saying, if anyone's calling, a la the Jaguars, saying he's like really high up in their board of wanting to be a head coach,
Mhm.
should the Glazers pull the trigger? And I'll let you divulge in the Todd Bowles, I guess, side of it. Like, I just gave a strong case for Liam Cohen. I think everyone knows that,
Yeah.
but I was always the one defending Bowles. So give me the reasonings of why Bowles should be out or isn't warranted of being the coach.
Yeah. I think, a lot of things go into it. I think you look at, the defensive side of the ball, and, obviously the thing for them this year was injuries. We didn't have a healthy secondary all season. It seems like when we did, they only played maybe a few seconds together before the next guy was getting hurt. Um, But you look at the front and you look at the pieces you have from multiple levels, starting with Kalijah Cansey, Vita Vea. You still have a solid enough player in Levante David. Then you have Antoine Winfield, who again, injuries to him obviously hurt the secondary, him being out. But when you look at it from a scheme standpoint and what this defense is trying to do, and I think when you go back to what you had starting with Todd Bowles as a defensive coordinator, the biggest thing for him was creating turnovers, creating
Mhm.
havoc plays, creating tackles for loss, creating negatives, and finding ways to get off the field more consistently. And that just didn't happen this year. And you can say, oh, well, it's a player talent issue. It could be this or that. Um, injuries, obviously. But when you only end the season with 7 interceptions as a team, obviously that's not good enough. You're not giving your offense more opportunities to put up points. You're asking your offense to play a perfect game. And we know that's tough to do in itself, especially with the execution issues the offense had and also the turnover issues they had with the interceptions and fumbles. And granted, that is something that they have to fix moving forward, but at the same time, defensively, there just wasn't enough to balance out, your offense that was showing so much improvement throughout the season. So, and then we're not even talking about Todd Bowles as far as game management, decision making from a game manage or game planning standpoint, not trying, certain things to play to what you have strength wise on your defense. And I think that is the front seven. But from a schematical standpoint, he tries to lean into a secondary or gear that towards his secondary making more plays, and it's not working from that aspect. So there's a lot of things to uncover there. And when you look at it and the way Liam was able to adjust and build this offense and find ways to make it more balanced and more, I guess, attacking in a way, you just look at the upside for him, and I think you try to you do anything you can to keep him. Like, you just can't lose Liam Cohen because he is that talented as a coach and the staff that he's brought with him as well, because if he leaves, most likely you're losing a couple guys from the staff in addition to him. So,
Yeah, a la what Canales did just last year, right?
mm,
So, I mean, we're not being the downers or like the depression of this podcast. It's more realization of, okay, what equations or what problems are they going to have to solve in this offseason? And it doesn't just start with player personnel; it starts with your coaching. It starts up
yeah,
top, and the
yep,
Glazers have to look at it and be like, okay, is Todd Bowles the guy that's going to get us to where we need to be moving forward? Is his defense going to be better next year? What is he going to tell us to convince us that we should keep him, right? Because every year you got to analyze what the hell just happened. Can
yep,
we improve on this? Was it warranted of being good enough to stay with your job and keep moving forward? Because it's a production based league, right? So you look at what, like you just said, 7 interceptions. That was it. That
yep.
was bottom five. I just looked it up. When you said that, I was like, how bad was that? So I looked it up. It was bottom five. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're the fifth team and it tied for fifth with interceptions. And we had 11 forced fumbles with a grand total. Damn, we're bad. Like middle of the pack of forcing turnovers. But the
Mhm,
thing is, I mean, that's just not good for a defense that's built around forcing turnovers because you're going to give up yards. Like literally every time they
yep,
bend, but they don't break, right?
yep,
But you can't keep bending so many damn times and not get anything. Like the whole thing's generated off of pressure. And I
mhm,
get it. Like I've talked with Plus about this. Losing Devin White was huge, not because of his coverage ability, because he didn't have it. It was his ability to hit those A gaps and force quick pressure immediately in the quarterback's face, forcing a quick decision, leading to an accelerated throw, which is most likely going to be inaccurate or just a quick check down, right? So it makes it easier on your outside linebackers to quickly read one read, get the player, right? It's not going to be like a McCaffrey making a catch and then making a miss tackle of Anthony Nelson, right?
mhm,
It's more advantageous of us. We didn't have that this year. I thought that was huge. But still, even with that, if you know you don't have the personnel as a head coach and defensive coordinator, you got to adapt and change to help your team and
yep,
find what strengths you have, right? I mean, look at the offensive side of the ball. Liam Cohen lost Chris Godwin and Mike Evans, but he adapts and freaking Kate Otten becomes Travis Kelsey for 3 to 4 games,
mhm,
right? Breaking, I think he was tying records with Travis Kelsey in that span. So you saw that a guy that can adapt to what he has. Devin Culp coming out of nowhere. Was he because he's that good of a talent? Maybe Jason Light is that great at drafting, but it's also utilization. How they use him properly
mhm,
and making it easier on Baker. And he took credit for that all the time. And I mean, Todd Bowles says it a lot. He's like, we get turnovers in bunches. We didn't get turnovers in bunches at all this year, at all.
Yep.
Whether it be an injury bug or what it is, but you got to find a way to make it easier on these players to play to their best ability, right? And
Mhm.
he just didn't do that this year. And I couldn't believe when I just saw this. In 2023, we're in the top 10 in points allowed on defense. I think we're seventh. I honestly generally didn't believe that.
Mhm.
But this year we're in the 20s. So that is a regression. That's a big regression. So if you look at it, if he was just a defensive coordinator, you're borderline thinking, should we move forward? But he's a head coach. So
Right.
it brings it even more substantial. The players like him, respect him, but that brings it to your loyalty point.
Mhm.
All of them, I mean, Levante David, you heard at the end, the players aren't saying anything bad about Todd Bowles, clearly.
Yeah.
But is it just a respect loyalty thing where the upper management has to see, okay, we need to move in a new direction because of production? Or is it let's just stay strong with this guy because he has a plan to get us moving forward? That's the question mark.
Mhm. Yeah, and get to super chat here from Brutal as Bucks. Appreciate it. He's talking about the Buccaneers just need an edge. It changes everything. Yeah, I mean, edge rusher has been, definitely a need for the Buccaneers for a few years now, ever since Shaq and JPP kind of went down as far as their play, just getting older. And they definitely have tried. They drafted Yaya Diaby. They went back to the well with Chris Braswell. But yeah, it's hard to find that impact edge rusher, especially if you don't have like a top, a top 10 pick or, it's just tough. It's not easy to find. That is something we'll definitely discuss throughout this offseason, especially with whether they're going to find it via trade,
Right.
free agency, or the draft, because the draft is very strong at edge this season. So that is something definitely to consider. But to your point, with Todd Bowles, I think he does a great job of building the team culture. I think the
Yeah.
culture is very strong. I think leadership by the players is very good. I think he has total buy-in from the roster. They believe in him as a coach. I think that's not wavered. So you have to give him respect to that. But when it comes to an X's and O's and game planning standpoint, there's just too many times where this team, whether you can say it's offense, defense, or special teams, there's just gaps in the season where the team just so up and down. Like the inconsistency of this team. One week they look like they have the best defense in the world. And then the next they just can't find a way to get it done. It's like complete and it's the same things as far as, giving up yards, not finding ways to create opportunities to get off the field. And it's just the same things over and over again. We talked about the middle of the defense this past season being a weakness. Oh, they're just going to dump it off to the middle, attack us there in between the seams and the linebackers. And there was just no adjustments. And yeah, sure, Todd Bowles, what he did in the second half of the season, he adjusted, he blitzed heavily. I
Mhm.
mean, he blitzed over 50% of the time, nearly 60% in the second half. And of course it worked, because guess what? You're facing lesser quarterbacks, you're facing lesser offenses. So of course the results are going to be better. We did some different things to move around finally, Kalijah Cansey, move around Vita Vea, blitzing Levante David, and doing some different things as far as coverage goes, which was good. Um, but still, it's too little, too late. Where are these adjustments early in the season? Understanding to have backup plans in case
Mhm.
Servasier Dennis gets hurt, in week 2 or whatever it was, week 3, he goes down, and then your defense is completely different. It's just like, we're gonna go and get into the shitter and not not know how to play defense. And you could see it that Thursday night game that against the Falcons. That was the start of it. I was like, geez, we can't stop Kirk Cousins in this offense where
Yeah.
other teams were just shutting them down left and right. Yeah, and I think that was the backbreaker moment for this season, and especially kind of told us. I think that's where a lot of fans were like, Yeah, I don't know if Todd Bowles is it for defense because and it's not just Bowles. I think if Bowles is going to stay, and I think we've talked about this before, like if he's going to stay, he has to make changes to his defensive staff. I think you got to get improvements there where you can get more out of your players development wise, and then also just better play overall on the field because it's just not happening. And again, you can make the case, yeah, the talent level can be better. I think the depth can be better. And that is going to be a goal for the offseason. They're going to add a lot to the defense. And if Bulls is still here, it's going to be no more excuses. But I think at all costs, bottom line, you got to find a way to keep Liam Cohen because he is, I think, one of those special coaches that you can't let go.
Yeah, and then just to answer the super chat, they need an edge. They've needed an edge for years.
Yeah.
But the thing is, this defense, like when we first got BA over here, we asked Jess Root from Rise Up C Red or something like that, Rise Up,
Mm,
right?
yeah.
Podcast. They cover the Cardinals. We're like, what defense are we getting from Todd Bowles? It was run stopping, which we've always known. We're good at run stopping. We lost it last year. We got better this year. But they don't rely on edge rushers. They rely on the A gap blitz, middle, force the pressure. Quickest point to one line is an A to B, right? So
Yeah.
looking for the defensive tackles to cause push, forcing the quarterback out to your edge rushers to get easier sacks, right? Just to walk into them. They don't
Mm,
necessarily have to win if the middle is getting so much pressure. So you're breaking down the play. It works in theory if you're getting a lot of interior pressure.
mm,
We never got that from the linebackers this year. Yeah, Levante did some of it, but if Levante's blitzing behind him, there's not much coverage because Britt cannot cover. We're trying to use Russell. He did an okay job at times.
mm,
Um, Tyke Smith would get hurt. It'd get even worse. So yeah, like the injury bug hurt a lot, but there was no one to help clean up other people's messes. And there's only so much you can use, but you got
mm,
to find ways to hide these deficiencies.
yeah.
If you knew you weren't bringing back Devin White, were you really that confident in KJ Britt to be the guy to get that pressure that you know is manufactured of your defense? Yeah, Sarasier was your third down linebacker. He never even started the season
Mm,
in the middle. So that was him saying, "I'm more confident with KJ Britt." I don't believe in that. Like that's
yeah.
crazy when you think about it now. But I feel like some of the things like and also an edge rusher would be beneficial, no doubt. Maybe that
Mm,
is something where they changed schematically because he did that with the type of defensive tackle, right?
yeah.
It's usually a big fat run stuffer. He went back to back with a Logan Hall and Kalijah Cansey. That's changing your defensive needs, right? So
Mm,
maybe they do change mold schematically with getting an edge rusher that can actually truly cause pass rush. But then D Ford's comment over here, the first one of I think Bowles has done a good job with the defensive schemes considering the player personnel. I'll touch on that. But then he said it was generally the conservative game management philosophy that didn't make sense.
mm,
Conservative game management, I think, in two fashions. It's the first half, you're just playing so conservative and just letting teams do whatever the hell they want. And the second half, you crunch down. The difference between, I think Greg Allman said it, what were like
we're 30th in first.
30th in the
Yeah.
first half
First,
and
yeah.
second in the second half.
Yeah.
It's insane. You can't be that crazy different. You have to have your identity and stick to it, right? Yes, you
Mm,
change the way you do things in it, but you're still always one way. Like that's
yep.
what the Lions are, even though they're losing right now, 31-21, which is nuts.
Yeah.
But either way, in one fashion, it's that way, but also to what you say as a head coach,
Mhm.
not going for it on 4th and 3 in the biggest game of the year when you already messed up on first down. Bucky should have gotten the first down.
Right.
Baker's trying to stand up and run for a first down and second and 1 and third and 1 spot snap. But still, you're in your inside of the end zone. You're at
Mm,
home. You have a baller at play caller and offense. You
mm,
go for that. I mean,
yeah.
that, in my opinion, when you're that close, but you went for the conservative, safe field goal instead
Mm,
of the win. But it
yeah.
is what it is. And I mean, we saw it with the Chiefs game. Should have went for two. Um, where else? I mean, just there's multiple times throughout the year. It's like
Mm,
conservative play bit us in the ass.
Yeah.
You can't have that happen.
Yeah, I want to bring this up because Brutal as Bucks has not been a Baker fan since day one, but I will say Baker Mayfield, he has been really good in the playoffs, and I don't think he was the issue for last weekend. Yeah, you can say botch fumble or whatever on the jet sweep. Yeah, I mean that's just unfortunate, but Baker has been really good in the playoffs, and I don't think he's not going anywhere. So you have to deal with it. He's been really good for us. I understand the turnovers and that, obviously you want to see that
We are
limited.
really critical of him. We are really critical of Baker.
Usually we are. Yeah, usually we are. But in the grand scheme of things, it's really hard to find a quarterback and to find someone that is pretty good, at least a top 15 quarterback in this league. That is, yeah, you just don't find that. And you look at this year's draft class, the quarterbacks are not good. Free agent quarterbacks usually don't come around. And I would take Baker over Sam Darnold. That's for sure. I think he was the best option at the time, and I think he still is right now the option you have to move forward with. So um, yeah, I mean, Jared Goff having a bad game, I guess. I don't know. I haven't been watching it, so I'm assuming he's turning the ball over.
There's too much
But
security.
yeah, I mean, Jared Goff hasn't been great in the playoffs. Like I mean, this is what it is. They have, obviously they're a better coached team than the Bucs. That's why they're getting where they are. But we'll just leave it at that. I just wanted to bring that up.
And I'm very critical
Yeah,
of Baker.
yeah.
I'll be the first to do that, but I will defend him in this one. I think he literally is the best statistical playoff quarterback. I think that's a number that's been going around Twitter X right now,
Yeah. Yeah,
which
he
is
says we
funny.
had the best O-line. Well, I mean, yeah, sure.
We had
That
the best
that
run
def
game last year, though.
No, we didn't.
Dead last.
Yeah.
And he
So,
still was I guess above the Mendoza line. I'll say is like Dak Prescott.
mhm,
He's a highest paid guy.
yeah,
I
yeah.
think he's better than Dak Prescott. Let's put it that way. I think
Mhm,
he's a guy that can win you games, but you need a team to win. I
yeah,
mean, if Tom Brady's our expectation, no one's going to reach that at all. I
yeah.
mean, I think that was the saying all last year. Like Brady is one of one. You don't get Brady every year. Okay,
Mhm,
like supreme accuracy, supreme decision making, just knowing when to bail out, when not to, when to take a sack, when to throw it away. Baker has those issues. Yes, he tries to make too much of something, but then
mhm,
when he does get the hell out of it, you're like, where the hell did that come from? Like the
right.
stiff arming Nick Bosa and throwing a
Mhm,
beautiful pass for Rashad White. The Giants game, freaking flying into the end zone and then just doing the like some of
yeah,
the stuff he does, you're like, how the hell did he do that? Or the pass to Jalen McMillan, like in the on fourth down, first of all, in what game was that? The Saints game,
yeah,
right?
yeah, last game of the year.
Fourth down, phenomenal play, and then the touchdown, which not many one of like probably three quarterbacks to make that throw.
Mhm,
Insanity. Like
yep,
he is a special player, but yeah, he needs to limit some of the interceptions or whatever. But that's just decision making. That's a lot
mm,
of every quarterback's issues.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, he's a modern Brett Favre in my opinion. Like that's his type of game. He's a gunslinger. Um, you just have to hope the good outweighs the bad. So,
I
and
saw. Let me just real quick, funny thing.
yeah,
I saw
yeah.
something on Instagram. It was like doing quarterbacks and what their comparison is as a car,
Mhm,
and it was like Baker Mayfield. He's like a what was he? It was like a muscle car. It was
mhm.
like a hell of a thing you can drive. You can go full speed and have fun with it, but you take a turn the wrong way, you run into a fucking tree.
Yeah,
And that is kinda how he is. Like, he's
yeah,
full throttle, and
that's pretty accurate.
sometimes the full throttle gets you into mistakes, but if he can learn to mature and limit those mistakes, and it is what it is. I mean, he still
Yeah.
had a damn near MVP season.
Yeah, I mean, his best year statistically, he
Yeah.
had 4,500 yards, 41 touchdowns. Yeah, sure, the 16 interceptions you don't wanna see. You would like to see that number lower, but still a very good ratio. 40 sacks, again, that's something it's just gonna be a part of his game because, like you said, he's trying to make a play, more than it needs to be. Sometimes you just have to dump it or get out of there, or just live another down. I think that's the biggest thing for him.
Yeah.
But it would be nice, to our point of what we've been discussing, to see him in year 2 of the same offense instead of going to another offensive coordinator and change. Um, but just reflecting on the season, I mean, Bucky Irving, godsend. Like, that was a hell of a draft pick, and him and Rashad White, Sean Tucker working together,
Woo! Sorry.
really, really good to watch, and just see how they continue to grow. That'll be awesome. And then receiving wise, I think the combination of Mike Evans, yes, Chris Godwin, I think he'll be back. I think we can all agree that makes logical sense to bring him back, especially the way he was playing in this offense. The emergence of Jalen McMillan down the stretch, that makes you feel confident. And then Kate Otten really becoming a tight end one. I thought that was awesome to see. So, yeah, a lot of good stuff. Bruno at Bucks, man, he's giving us a lot of money here. We appreciate it.
Very much
Um,
so.
yeah, worst
Pretty
thing a
hard on
franchise.
business.
Yep, appreciate the super chat. Worst thing a franchise can do is go all in on the wrong guy. I don't know if we've gone all in. We gave him I think
Well,
a
5 years
favorite.
sure.
We gave him a team friendly contract.
Yeah.
Later, like Dak fans saying it's not. Well, first of all, the Cowboys are a mess. I have more confidence. I have more confidence in Jason Light and how he's running things from a team standpoint than Jerry Jones, who is in denial, running the team blind. So I feel more confident. I think we'll be okay there. But hey, if you're right, more power to you. But we'll see how it goes. I'm more confident in our management than
Oh,
the Cowboys for sure.
we'll bring that back up again really
Mhm.
quick. So there's another state, like, I mean, because it's not like we're yelling at you, you're wrong, but it's more
Yeah.
like, okay, well, I got to understand what your concern and what are we
Right.
overthinking this and thinking, oh, there's no bad. So I mean, you're saying, yeah, 10 years down the road, oh, Dak fan saying it's not his fault. That's how we used to be with Jameis Winston.
Mhm.
Until we open our eyes, we're like, Jesus, this guy's just getting us in every loss. Like, yes, he's great to get us back, but he's putting us in this hole every damn time.
Mhm.
Baker doesn't often do that. When he does do that, yes, I'll say it's his fault big time. Like
Mhm.
the Baltimore Ravens game, we got in a big ass hole because he had a lot of turnovers. That is
Yeah.
100% Baker's fault. Like,
Right.
yes, if Evans catch that touchdown, we're up big. But why the hell are you throwing a pick in the back of the end zone to
Yeah.
Jalen McMillan on a zone coverage play where you're running around like an idiot and they have all the day just staring at you?
Mhm.
100% Baker's fault. I agree with you. That is a Baker fault.
Mhm.
The Panthers game, he's injured, gets right back in. First damn pass when he gets back in, interception.
Yeah.
That is a Baker fault. Like,
Right.
there's situations where he screws himself.
Mhm.
There's plenty of situations where he's gotten us out of a hole where he didn't create it.
Yeah.
It was either just the defense is giving up yards left and right, or he just takes over a damn game. And it's just like touchdown, touchdown, touchdown.
Mhm.
Um, so like in that fashion, I don't see him as a Jameis Winston. I don't see him as a Dak because when you look at his playoffs, it's not just skewed because of the 7-loss Eagles.
Mhm.
It's what he did in Cleveland as well. In the playoffs in Cleveland, we almost played him in the 2020 Super Bowl.
Right.
If his guy should have been a touchdown, but he had a concussion going into the end zone. The ball crossed the plane, but they called it a fumble. I don't understand that.
Mhm.
Refs being refs, I guess. Again, it was against the Chiefs, so it's probably also why.
Yeah.
So again, someone said earlier, by the way, congratulations to the Chiefs and the refs.
Mhm.
100%, there it is.
Yeah.
They want to crown their boy and Taylor Swift, her magic. But I mean, Baker has done well every playoff game. And then if you're going to knock him for the Lions game, one of his interceptions was a Mike Evans drop that went right into a Lions game, Lions defender's hands. And the other one, he was trying to lead us on like a last minute drive and he
Yeah.
thought he could get it over. And yeah, that was an interception. It's on him. Sucked. But that was like, how much time was left? Like a minute 10?
Yeah, it was the final drive.
But I mean, and that's not just saying a Baker apologist, whatever the hell the guys call it.
Mhm.
He's going to keep you in games. He's going to fight for every yard. Again, if you're talking about the Todd Bowles, people respect him, want him. Everyone in offense respects Baker Mayfield, wants to win with him, for him, and run through a wall with him. So, like, As long as Mike Evans is on the team, I guarantee you Baker Mayfield's going to be the quarterback as well.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, for sure. I mean, again, like I said, you could do a lot worse than Baker Mayfield. And I understand, yeah, the goal is to win a championship, but at the same time, to win a championship, you gotta have the right team. You gotta have a team built in order to get that. But I mean, yeah, the turnovers. I mean, you just gotta hope you can limit them. That's the main thing, and we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. But yeah, so I mean, just looking at this team, looking at the depth chart, I think offensively you're pretty much set. But it is going to come down to what happens with Liam Cohen, as we talked about in the beginning of the show. Um, I would like to see a change there, a change be made, but if we don't, and Todd Bowles is the coach, just got to hope that Liam is back with us, which I still feel confident that he's going to be back, because you look at the situation. I think Tampa is the best situation for him personally. When you look at the other jobs, the openings, but that is one of 32. Head coach doesn't come around often, and if you do have the opportunity, you have to take it. But when you look at that depth chart, Mark, I mean, offensively, you're pretty much set. You don't really have to make any additions or subtractions. I think Ben Bredesen probably comes back. So your offensive line remains intact. I don't
So
really see, yeah, I don't really see much to add. I mean, maybe some depth pieces at receiver, um, and that's pretty much it. Backup quarterback position, that will be interesting if they sign Kyle Trask back, or if they feel confident enough in Michael Pratt to be the backup. We'll see. But I mean, your thoughts on what we have here right now facing us?
it's a couple big points. So yeah, Ben Bredesen, if he gets his money, I think, like you mentioned before, Opeta was supposed to be the starter
Mhm.
beginning of the year, and then he got hurt. Bredesen gets his opportunity, he takes it and runs with it.
Right.
Either way, Elijah Klein, great pick by Jason Light, thinking towards the future. He looked great in preseason. Does he take the next step? I think we're fine there. Either way, still draft another guy to get depth, because what if Robert Hainsey does leave?
Mm.
I think Schooley is a free agent as well. You
Right.
likely think he comes back, but you never know. The backup quarterback position is what it is. Baker was down, like
Yeah.
we're likely not going anywhere.
Yeah.
But also go back to the stats
Mm.
real quick. I want you to look at this, which is really cool.
Let me, if I can get over there. Hold on. There we
Right
go.
there, you go. So scroll
There.
down to the receiving stats.
Yeah.
So Baker had 4,500 yards, 41 touchdowns, and he had one receiver over 1,000 yards. Like
Mhm.
how balanced that is. It's not that goes to coaching, like finding ways to get the ball into other guys' hands, but also Baker decision making. Like, okay, I'm not going to force it, even though he did have 16 interceptions.
Yeah.
Look how balanced that is, and he barely got 1,000 yards. He got it on the last play of the season.
Mm.
So to have 4,500 yards, best career of your season, or best season of your career, how balanced it is from Sterling Shepard up. Everyone got over 300 yards. Like that is insane how balanced that is across the board, and that's good play calling, good decision making to get you to that point. And then Kate Otten 600 yards, and he
Mhm.
missed what, the last 4 games of the
Yeah.
season.
Yeah. I didn't really play.
So
So,
like, I mean that he was dealt a bad hand and still produced greatly, and that's even not just to Liam Cohen, but to Baker Mayfield.
mm.
Usually, you lose your top 2 receivers. Look what Brady was like in his last season in the Patriots. He didn't have anyone to throw to. He got pissed, ends up throwing an interception for a touchdown his last throw in the Patriots.
Yeah.
And Baker has shit to throw to. A rookie, a Sterling Shepard. I think Sterling Shepard was our number 1 against the Chiefs, wasn't he? Because McMillan was out, I think. I think I was pissed.
Yeah. It was pretty much Shepard, and then you had Ryan Miller.
That was our game against the Chiefs, and we lost by 3
Well,
points.
you had you had yeah, you had Kate on. Kate on was pretty much your number one.
But think
Um,
about that.
but yeah,
You
and
you're
then
on the
obviously,
road.
and Bucky really wasn't being utilized like he was in the second half of the season. So yeah, Bucky and
Against
Rashad.
the Chiefs and the refs, and you almost won on the road. You took it
Yeah.
to overtime, and then that's, again, a coaching decision. If you would have went for it, you win the game.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. So there's a lot of things to like offensively and how they were utilized, and we talked about this before we went on air. It's all about player utilization and how these guys are being put in position consistently, how they're being used defensively. We just didn't see the same type of plan in place like you had on offense. There just wasn't any type of purpose I saw where you're actually funneling the football where you want it to go. And yes, player personnel matters in that sense, especially where defense is more reactionary. And yes, injuries is a excuse because there were so many injuries this year, or a valid excuse, I should say.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like you see these other teams that do so much with lesser talent than what the Buccaneers have on that side of the ball. And they find ways. Like you look at Washington and what they're doing defensively, they're finding ways to make plays, whether it's get turnovers. They got 2 tonight. They're not a good defense, but they're playing much better now because, again, the scheme and the game plan geared to how they want to play, at least they're being consistent in that matter. And I just didn't think we saw that consistently on the defensive side from the Buccaneers. And you could go back to 2023 as well. I think the same things were happening. It was up and down game planning. And that's something to be concerned about. It's like, are we going to go into next season, start 3-1 again, go down to 4-6 like we have, and make a run to make the playoffs? Like, is that how we're just going to be, or can we actually be a team that can find consistency and play at a higher level?
Yeah, and then can you share the screen of where I just put up there down
What do
below?
you? Oh
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
was trying to. So again, Brutal's Bucks put learn from Winston. We are doing it again. Baker led the league in interceptions and fumbles. His play style will never win a Super Bowl. All right, so I brought this up again. So Baker was tied for the league in interceptions with 16.
Yeah.
He was tied with a guy that played in only 14 games, had 16 interceptions. So Baker played the full 17. And Jameis Winston in only 12 games had 12 interceptions. So that is a glaring number for only
Yeah.
12. That's an interception a game. Almost what Baker had, 16 and 17.
Yeah.
But if Jameis was in, old Jameis, I love him.
Yeah.
Oh, he's wild. But I mean, but still, but it's not like an outlier. Like when Jameis was there in his 30
Mhm.
interception season, he was a massive outlier. I think it was 30, and the next guy was like 16,
Mhm.
something like that. 16 isn't astronomically. I mean, look where some of these other supposed good quarterbacks are. Mahomes is 11, so we're talking 5 away. Jared
Mhm.
Goff, although he's doing terrible right now, was what, 3
Eight.
away?
Yeah,
So
8-12.
some of those are just a decision, just don't fuck it up.
Mhm.
Right? I mean,
Yeah.
you're like 3 away from being a really good on par with a really good quarterback with a high volume of throws. Golf had 539 throws. Baker had 570, and 16 of those were interceptions.
Mhm.
Okay, Anthony Richardson had 264 throws, had 12 interceptions. All right, look at the volume is what I'm talking about. Like with the amount of throws he had to have 16, that's not. I know it can be better. Yeah, I mean it's not an argument of
Mhm.
it's allowed. No, it isn't, and I'll be the first one to say it. But I think it's a fixable thing, an area he knows he needs to fix. The fumbles on in that case, I fully agree with you. Protect the damn ball.
Mhm.
Some of the throws were just, dude, just throw it away or take the
Yeah.
sack. But
Yeah. Yeah, the fumbles from the whole group as an offense, I think that is something that definitely has to improve moving forward. You can't lose the ball on fumbles. Interceptions, like I said, are just going to happen. You just got to hope that it's limited. Um, but you look at the production that Baker Mayfield still had, 41 touchdowns to
yeah,
16 interceptions. So that's where you can live with that. And again, a good rating. He had over
Yes.
100 rating for quarterback. Um, I mean, the production is still really good, especially when you look at these other quarterbacks. I mean, he beat them out as far as touchdown production.
Yeah.
So I think that is something to definitely take into consideration. And you can do a lot worse than Baker Mayfield, like I continue to say. And we'll have to see, can they put a more complete team? That way, you can be more balanced overall um, on offense and defense. So, but yeah, those are all good points.
Yeah, because again, you can't expect the Tom Brady's of the world to have
Mhm.
like literally 0 interceptions. Like this is insane. 41-4,
Yeah.
Lamar Jackson. That was a phenomenal season. Like
Mhm.
that is insanity. Um, yeah, Lamar Jackson. Like, whew,
Yeah.
and
Really
King
good.
Henry helps when he's getting you 200-yard games. You
Mhm.
don't know what the hell to do. But Lamar Jack, I think he's taken such a huge step this year. Let's see. Anyone but the Chiefs in the AFC. Anyone but the Chiefs.
Yeah. No, agreed. Agreed. Yeah, that should be a good game tomorrow. Baltimore and Buffalo. I'm pulling for the Rams. I hope they can beat the Eagles. But we'll see. Hopefully Detroit. I want to see Detroit come back in this game. Hopefully they can get it going. It looks like they're inside the red zone here. Hopefully they can tie it up. So yeah, that would definitely help. Yeah, yeah, sure. I mean, every quarterback needs help, man. Every quarterback needs help. You can't do it all by yourself.
I think
And
he's
I
saying
think,
that Baker does have help, and he should have been like that. But
yeah,
also, I don't think Baltimore had anywhere near as many injuries in the passing game that we did.
right.
So yeah, like we had our top 3 targets go out at some
Mhm.
point of the season. One was out for the season, other one was out for like 4 or 5 games, and
Yeah,
same thing with Kate Otten was out 4 games. So it's like those are big chunks that you're losing your best players, and you're relying on practice squad guy and Sterling Shepard, um, rookies to come up out of nowhere. And you're expecting them to play like veterans and know the offense immediately. It's a tough task and tall task, and coaching and player decisions helped in that.
yeah,
He
yeah,
would
for
have had an
sure.
even bigger season. McMillan actually knew what the hell he was doing midseason or early on in the season.
Mhm.
There were some games, like in the Falcons game, I was watching on the cruise. He was wide open in the middle of the field and he ran the wrong way, and Baker threw it. And I was like, what the hell happened? But
Yeah,
hey, either way,
yeah.
it's
It's all
great to see.
those. Yeah, it's all those details. I think, yeah, when you look at the 2024 season, and we'll move into what we expect for the offseason. But when you look at this season, I think there was positives that came from it. But I think at the end of the day, you're disappointed in not getting further than we did. You would like to see us being playing tomorrow, against the Eagles, but just didn't happen. Wasn't enough. I think the three things came up in that game that bite us all year, and that was turnovers, not producing enough turnovers, not getting um, enough stops, and the little details as far as pre-snap stuff um, that definitely hurt us. So those are things that they got to improve. Will we see a coaching change like we talked about at the beginning? That remains to be seen. I think Bulls most likely is probably back, and then hopefully we can keep Liam Cohen away from other teams and find a way to either make him one of the higher paid OCs, and hopefully you can put a plan together to keep him here, because I think he is a really good coach that is just going to continue to get better, in my opinion. But let's move to what we expect to occur in this offseason. Let me bring up this back here. So we talked a little bit about the offense. I think the offense is pretty much set. This is the big area that most fans expect us to upgrade and add to. So, Mark, I'll start it off with you. What are you looking for this offseason as far as player acquisition, and how can we make this defense better?
I said it probably last live stream. The 2 biggest areas, you got to upgrade the middle linebacker, whether that
Mm,
is Levante David coming back, regardless if he does. You still don't have a consistent player in there. You know, Servassier Dennis can get hurt 2 years in a row. That's all you know. You know,
Mhm.
when he is on the field, he's a phenomenal player. He's great in coverage, great speed, can do it all, but availability is the best ability. He doesn't have it, right? You can't
Yeah.
count on it. I know hopefully it's like Gerald McCoy, the first 2 years he's hurt, then he has a good stretch of health, right? Same with the Kalijah Cansey. Stay healthy. Stop missing the first 5 games of the season,
Mhm.
right? Guys need to stay healthy. So middle linebacker, 100%. Even if David comes back, you need a guy that can even come in for him when he does leave, and then a guy that you can depend on, depending if Servassier is healthy or not. So you don't really know. You almost need to get two.
Yeah.
That's something we talked about too. And then,
Mhm.
of course, cornerback. What do you do with the guy opposite McCollum? Does Dean stay and you depend on him, or do you better draft one? I'll say that.
Yeah.
I think you should no doubt bring back. Where is he? He's not even on there. Hall. They don't even have
Yeah.
him on
Yeah.
ESPN.
Logan Hall's right here. Or no, you're talking about Bryce Hall?
No, I
Yeah.
would never. There, Bryce Hall.
Yeah.
I would try and bring him back because he actually looked good in preseason. He was primed for
Mhm.
winning that like guy that would rotation with Jamel Dean. But again, Jamel Dean, another guy, always hurt. His knees are shot since college. I don't think you're going to get better with health as you age. So, and the cornerback is just a rough position. He's not going to have longevity of keeping up with wide receivers trying to turn and run with these guys. He's just a bigger bodied corner too, so it's tougher on his body to begin with. It's just physicality of it. So I think no doubt those are the two areas to improve. I know a lot of people want an edge rusher. If you can find one you can trade for, great.
Mhm.
But through the draft, I think those are the two biggest I would highlight. And I would not, and I repeat, I would not draft a middle linebacker anywhere in the first round. If we do that, I don't know what the hell. I'm going to
Mhm.
say it's a Logan Hall pick
Yeah.
because hopefully you learn from the Devin White debacle. You
Mhm.
don't take an off-ball linebacker that high. If you just don't. I don't
Right.
care what scheme you're running. To me, like a linebacker is the running back position of the defense.
Mhm.
You're just running full speed into someone. You're gonna get concussions. They're gonna get a lot of tread on you. If you can find me a fast guy that can get downhill real fast and cover sideline to sideline, I'm like, okay, we got a Devin White. You can do that. You can get a Quan Alexander, to Servassier Dennis. You can get the guys on day 3 or late day 2. You don't need
Mhm.
to force the pick. So
Yeah.
that's my 2 cents.
No, I'm in agreement there. I think definitely middle linebacker secondary is gonna be the need. I think Jamel Dean probably they move on from to save cap space, and I think you go out and really the goal for this team in the offseason defensively, I think you have to attack in free agency. I think you have to attack via the draft as well. I think you have to add some good veterans to this group on defense that can help your depth, but also you have to draft to supplement that in addition to it. So when I look at the defensive front, I think you need to add and upgrade your defensive line. I think you need to add edges as well. I think edge is probably a position they attack in the draft because it's so strong this year. I've already mentioned my favorite for the Buccaneers. Let me get that out of there. I already mentioned my favorite for this draft, and that is Mike Green from Marshall. I absolutely love his game, his ability to attack in different ways as a pass rusher. I think he's good enough in the run game to be sufficient there, and he can create havoc in the backfield, and I think that's something you need to have to go alongside Kalijah Cansey. But I think corner could definitely be on the board for the Bucs in round one. I've talked about Siobhan Revel. I've talked about um, there's another corner, Jade Barron from Texas. I think is really good. Malachi Starks would be awesome, but I don't think he makes it. So there's a lot of potential prospects that we're excited. We're going to get into as we move through this offseason. But getting back to the depth chart, yeah, I think linebacker and secondary is definitely going to be attacked in free agency and in the draft. And I have a couple of names I want to highlight. I'll bring them up. Levi Onwuzurike. I love from Washington. I think he would be a good addition to add a potential player like Kalijah Kancey that can get pressure on the quarterback. And if you had two guys like that that can be penetrators, I think it could help out your defense in a big way. So I really like him. Drake Greenlaw is another one that's going to be a high free agent target on a lot of teams. I think he would be a great addition to add in the linebacker room. And then Jamie Sherwood from the Jets, I thought played outstanding this past season for them and was a really good player. So those are a couple of targets. Mark, any thoughts on those? I know you like Levi a lot.
Yeah, like coming out of
Yeah.
college, like he was really high on my board. Like a guy that could you can play him inside outside. He can get push. He was good in the running game. Like
Yeah.
he was a guy that could, it was like a Swiss Army knife, and I thought he fit the Bulls 3-4 scheme the best, right? And a
Mm,
guy where you don't get stuck on. He's like a Greg Gaines. He's stuck in the middle. That's it. No, he's a guy you can swivel around like Kalijah Kancey, like Vita Vea. He's athletic enough. He can get to the outside and do stuff.
mm,
But my big thing is, I think Jason Light. I know. Plus, you're saying like this year it could be different because they're trying to push for a Super Bowl run next year. Because
yeah.
hopefully you got the coaches, you got the offensive in place. You just need to find that defensive wrinkle, and maybe it is one big signing away. Maybe it is one trade away
Mm,
to help that defense. I don't know. Like I think Jason Light learned his lesson. Don't break the bank in the off season and sign someone that's going to be too much. You're gonna have to outbid other people for their services. I
mm,
think he's more of the homegrown products, and I'll just get the lower tier free agency because I can see Levi getting like a day one, day two contract.
mm.
And same thing with Greenlaw.
Greenlaw. Yeah.
Like they're just good players, like on winning teams,
Mm,
and that gets notoriety. Your name's called a lot. So
yeah.
I don't know. Like I just think from his first years when he was here, like Anthony Collins, Michael Johnson,
Mm,
those types of players, I think that scarred him for life. He's not wanting to do that again, even though they put up good seasons. Like Michael Johnson put up good season with Cincinnati. We signed him, he turns into a dud. So
mm,
like maybe it's but then again, he has a whole track record of scouting reports of okay, we know this guy's good from his years in college, and let's see if we can bring him in here. So I don't know. We'll see. I
yeah.
just don't think he would, but I agree. Those are really good targets to help fix areas of need.
Mm. Yeah, I think, and again, it doesn't have to be those guys. I think he can go after, you know, lesser, I guess, name guys that could bring value. I just feel like when you look at the step chart, you got to find a way to improve on the Mike Greens, the Greg Gaines, the William Goldstons. I'm fine with CJ Brewer staying. I thought he did some good things.
Mm,
Anthony Nelson, JTS, I think they probably most likely move on from both of those guys. You have to get a more athletic up front where you can be more versatile, and you got to find some guys that can complement Yaya Diaby in the pass rush game because I think you have a very good power player in Yaya. You got to find a speed rusher that can really cause havoc back there to complement Kalijah and get after the quarterback more consistently. Linebacker, I think the key for that is you just got to find guys that can move. Not a lot of guys can cover in this league at linebacker.
mm.
You just have to find a athleticism and b a player that has their head on straight and can just do what they're being asked to do. So I think that's important. And then secondary, same thing. Like you got to add to Zion McCollum, Tyke, and Antoine. I think those guys are fine, but you got to get more at corner that can let you play more man coverage in this game because you look at the defenses that do good, they're able to play either zone or man, and I think that's important.
Yeah. I mean, and Christopher Cole made a good point. He said, "Is Lattimore a free agent?" What would
I
be wild is if we did
Yeah.
sign him to see that practice. That'd be hilarious.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't. Mike Evans might have an issue, but yeah, I mean, I don't think he's a free agent. I think he is back with Washington, if I'm not mistaken. He still has a couple years on his contract. So, but yeah, I mean, I'd be interested in adding corner in free agency and in the draft for sure. And I think that's what they're definitely going to look at because upgrades have to be made. And then lastly, as far as trades, I think you could throw a couple of candidates out there. Obviously, Max Crosby would be the big fish. Trey Hendrickson would be another. But are those guys going to be made available? That remains to be seen. But I think those would be kind of like the home runs you go for. But again, it's like how much are you trying to give up to acquire those guys?
Yeah, but like you just said, if it is it one of those situations where you're like, okay, our offense is set. If we know Liam Cohen is still here, we got all those pieces in place. There's only one area you need to fix. It's almost
Right.
like the um, kind of comparison of bringing in Gruden. Like you get that
Mhm.
one impulsive offense. Okay, that's what we needed, and look what happened. Right.
Yeah.
Once the ball was doing so well, we just need to fix the other side. Another point I wanted to kind of make, I talked to you about it,
Mhm.
was if the situation where we do say the Jaguars, I know it's going all the way back to the beginning of the podcast,
Mhm.
but like when, if and when, like we move on from bowls, right?
Yeah.
I think people will compare it to the Lovey Smith, Dirk Cutter situation. And I think the Brutal's Bucks would say it too, like only relying on the quarterback, thinking, oh, we're just going to keep Cohen because he was so good with Baker.
Mhm.
Lovey Smith was really bad. Dirk Cutter was just there for Winston. Yes, I agree. That was a bad decision.
Mhm.
And they did it just because it was the first year. Keep them. Let's keep them confident. We don't damage our goods, right?
Right.
What Cohen did was just astronomical on every account. Like it was broken records and top five in everything. He is an offense. He knows the game. He knows how to utilize space, players, um, moving the pocket, moving players around to find what's going on in the defense. That is innovative. It's not gimmicky. I think
Mhm.
it's just a big difference between what happened in years past and this year, if it had to happen that way. And it's all up in the air right now. Like what happens in this Lions game if they lose? Okay, two coordinators are probably leaving the Lions,
Mhm.
and that takes Cohen down probably because Ben
Right.
Johnson's everyone's number one, and Aaron Glenn's probably everyone's number two. So
Mhm.
I borderline want them to lose, but I don't because I really want the Lions to win the Super Bowl because
Mhm.
that'd be a hell of a story. But I don't
Yeah.
know. Like, I think that's just my 2 cents in that area.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. Some good points here by David. He's talking about some free agent guys. He mentions Brian Murphy Jr., the corner from Minnesota. He also talks about making a trade for Nick Herbig. I think he's the pass rusher for, I think he's on the Eagles, I believe. Yeah. Or no, Steelers. I'm sorry. And
Yeah.
then he talks about the veteran Khalil Mack. Yeah, that'd be interesting. Yeah, Nick Herbig trade. Yeah, probably wouldn't command a bunch of trade capital, but again, he's a up and coming pass rusher for the Steelers, and usually they don't get rid of those guys. You know, they like to have multiple pass rushers. So yeah, I mean, good points. To your point, Mark, I think yeah, coaching you want to keep Liam Cohen in town here, keep him here in Tampa. I just believe, and I think you're on board with this as well. I think it's inevitable that Todd Bowles will likely be fired at some point. Because like if it goes into next season and you make these upgrades to the defense and you still see the same issues schematically, game planning wise, game management, it's like why continue with that? You know, going past 25 season, like going into 2026, why would you continue? Um, just seeing the same stuff over and over again, even though the defense was improved or you made upgrades. So that's how I feel. I think, you know, Cohen should take over, but again, we'll have to just wait and see how it plays out. And hopefully it works out into the Bucs' favor where Cohen probably most likely takes over for Todd Bowles and we win the Super Bowl next year. That'd be awesome. But to have him send off, he goes into retirement, and Cohen is the next man in charge. That'd be the ideal situation, but we know that is it's up in the air if that even is going to take place.
Yeah, everyone's maybe bringing up good point. Good free agents though. Byron Murphy
Mhm.
from David was big. He's
Yeah.
just gonna be a top tier, high dollar amount. Again, I don't think we'd go after that. And
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
DJ
DJ.
Reed,
Yeah.
big old boy in the middle. Yeah, I would not mind that.
Well, DJ Reed, he's talking about the corner. He's a
I was thinking Reader,
yeah. Yep.
but yeah, I mean another area of need. So I mean, but that brings me to like looking at corner. We need it so much. So why did we regress so much on defense? Look at what we lost. We lost Devin White and Carlton Davis. That's pretty
Mhm.
much about it. Ryan Neal was already a wide open hole
Yeah.
last year. Other than that, we didn't really lose much on defense, right? I mean, other than Shaq, but Shaq was what he was, kind of
Mhm.
thing. So I mean, why was it such a huge regression? Yes, we had some injuries, but I think Zion McCollum was better than Colton Davis last year. Jamel Dean, yeah, gets hurt. Funderburk's in, big liability. Devin White was a big liability in the middle. He was just good at pass rush.
Mhm.
But I just think like the rest of your team, you have 11 guys in the team. You
Yeah.
can find ways to sort of hide it. Like you use your strengths to hide your weaknesses, right? We
Mhm.
didn't often do that on defense. And it's like we'd
Yeah.
find ways in the second half to do it once you figured it out. But your job as a coach is to go in prepared,
Mhm.
not to figure it out on the fly.
Yeah. I think the biggest issue defensively was just the fundamental things like tackling, being in the right position to make plays, um, doing your job schematically. That was the issue. Like it was just so inconsistent up and down as far as tackling goes, that you allowed so many extra yards that shouldn't be. I think that was um, the biggest problem. And obviously the change of players week to week that hurts, but it's still you see this everywhere across the league where other defenses find ways to make things happen.
Like the Chiefs.
Yeah, like they find ways to make things happen. So yeah, I mean, it's got to be better. I think what we hope to see is probably defensive staff changes. I think
Yeah,
that's where Todd Bowles has to go. If
Buccaneers.
he, yeah, yeah, exactly. So there's got to be changes on that side to improve, get better player development on that side as well, get these guys more ready if they do have to go in and understand that you just have to do that one job that you're being asked to. And if they can focus on that, make the scheme, I think, more player friendly and understand how to attack these offenses much better than they have because it has to be more consistent. We're just not seeing that from that side of the ball.
There's a lot of good questions and like points
Mhm.
in the chat right now. Andrew Brantley said, did the Glazers even have a choice hiring Todd Bowles?" He said him. BA did us dirty, forcing Bowles on us. So I don't know why everyone says the
Mhm.
Glazers in light would be loyal when Bowles keeps making the same game. I can agree with that.
Mhm.
Because I even talked with you about this. Like it'd be the last cutting of the ties of BA, right? BA demanded Leftwich be his offensive coordinator. Look what shit that brought us,
Mhm.
right? Even with the best quarterback ever.
No.
And Todd Bowles, yeah, he was good, but it's almost like there's no changes. He's got an old defensive staff, like Buccaneer Bruce said, there needs to be some changes.
Mhm.
Do that. Todd Bowles needs to give up play calling. It, I kind of agree with that.
Mhm.
Almost like clearly something you're doing is not working in the first half that it does work in the second half. Is it your coach is walking up to you saying we need to make these adjustments? Or is it you just realizing, oh shit, maybe I should have just been doing this in the first place? So some
Yeah.
of that is an issue, but also I think you put it up, David
Mhm.
Zeusman.
Yeah.
We haven't drafted quality corners the past 4 drafts. We got bad in the secondary because we did not draft well since 2021. Really, the only one that we've drafted well was Zion McCollum.
Mhm.
Josh Hayes did do some better things this year. I
Yeah.
know
But
you're
he wasn't good.
it wasn't good.
He just wasn't playable. So
He was better than Funderburk, I'll say that.
mm,
Funderburk was awful. And then Hayes went in there, he did better than Funderburk. Was he good? No, but, like, that was his first time ever truly playing the outside corner position
yeah,
in a high volume capacity, and then he's going against DeAndre Hopkins and gets schooled. Clearly, it's gonna happen.
yeah,
But, I don't know, like, does he get better? I mean, Ty McCollum his first year did not look good. Second year looked better. Third year looks like a phenomenal player.
yeah, much
I mean,
improved.
right? So, like, let's see. Like, he's not an athlete like Zion McCollum is, but he had some good jams. He had some good competitive um, snaps. Unlike
Mhm.
Funderburk had times where he just left his guy wide the hell open and
Yeah,
just I don't know. But yeah, but either way, to that point, we need to draft it. And that's why I say like number one of those highest priorities, middle linebacker and corner. I would put corner above middle linebacker because you can get linebackers later in the draft. Off ball linebackers later. Corner is a premier position. You're covering one side of the field. You need a corner.
yeah. I would put it like this. I would have edge corner as 1A, 1B, and then defensive line would probably be my next need because I think you just got to continue to invest there. I think you need a multitude of big bodies to sub in for Vita Vea or have a quick twitch guy. That's why I brought up Levi Onzarike as a target. You got to have some of that where the players that you're taking off the field, you can supplement in and have that same type of dynamic. I think that's what they need to look for. Um, and then after D line, I would have linebacker, and then safety as well, because we just don't know. We don't know about Jordan Whitehead, coming back. That's another key thing to look at because, a fractured neck isn't something to, you know, just throw away. Like that's a serious injury. So we have to see how he comes back from his car accident and the injuries he suffered. So that's important. Um, but yeah, I think defensively it's going to be a lot of additions and potentially a lot of turnover. And that also scares me because I've always made the joke of takes 7 years to learn this defense. So that kind of worries me, because it's like that was another thing, and we'll wrap up here soon because I know we've gone over an hour. But like when what was it? Do we have a replacement for KJ Britt? And the guy that they talked about, what was it, Vi Jones?
I don't. Yeah.
Yeah, Vi Jones. And Todd Bowles comes out and he's like, we have Vi Jones, but he's not ready to play the position. And I'm like,
That is what he said.
I was like, you knew that Servacier's been hurt for weeks, not coming back. Like he was out for the year because of his shoulder injury. And you haven't been preparing these other guys to be ready to play. Like what? Like what?
What's that?
Yeah, it's like what is going on? So that is like that's concerning. Like that's a fireable offense right there. So yeah, I mean, it just makes you question. And hopefully, if the defensive talent does get upgraded, we see things work better. But at the same time, schematically, I worry that it's not because this is how Todd Bowles plays his defense. He's okay with giving up yards. He's okay with dropping his edges back because the scheme and the zone blitzes, the fire zone blitzes, and stuff like that. So, yeah, I mean, it's tough.
And that area again, that's where I'm like really siding with you on the you got to move on from Bowles
Mm,
because not only that, yeah, like the takes you, your joke of takes him 7 years to learn the system, not being prepared for that moment when Servatier was hurt, understanding KJ Britt's in there, stop trusting him to he's going to get better. No, acknowledge that that player is making mistakes and a very big liability in the middle of your defense, just like Devin White was, and you didn't move on from it until halfway through the season. Like realize when you need to make a change or make adjustments. You didn't do it, and
mm,
yes, you did some things, but sometimes you're like, why is it after you've gone on a 5 game losing streak?
yeah, yeah,
It's that shit's frustrating. But if you do move on, that gives Jason Light time to find a defensive coordinator that he likes that would fit to this team,
Mhm.
right? I mean, they do huge intensive like searches. Like when they look for BA, it was a long search.
Yeah.
I mean, I still thought we should have gotten Dan Campbell, but we won a Super Bowl, so I'll take it. And we got Tom Brady. I'll take it because we had
Mhm.
a guy that everyone knew. Maybe this was a plan in place, but I mean, give Jason Light time to interview and figure out who it is. Hell, maybe with if Lan Cohen is your head coach, and the hell's the wide receivers coach name again? Not McMullen,
Bryce McClendon.
McClendon, not
Yeah.
McMullen,
Yeah.
McClendon.
Mm.
Georgia ties. Maybe bring some Georgia D coordinator over with that amazing aggressive defense. Maybe we need young blood like that because yeah, like someone put in there who's in the chat. Someone put up here like how there hasn't been many changes. I think the only change that we got was George Edwards. And yeah,
Mhm.
Buccaneer Bruce said George Edwards, Kevin Ross, and Nick Rapone need to go. A
Mhm.
lot of them are just older guys that just the loyalty of Todd Bowles and staying together. Continuity works if you're good year after year, but you're regressing now. Are you going to blame it on the injuries? Can you literally tell the Glazers this is why and this is how we're going to fix? How
Mhm.
how how much can you persuade them to know that was the reason?
Right.
Because sometimes like they'd be like, well, then why didn't you fix it? Like what prevented you from fixing it? What prevented you from adjusting? Like clearly it wasn't working. Why didn't you change your approach earlier? Right?
Mhm.
There's certain things like yeah, but let's see. It's still very early in the off season. He's not just safe yet. If he is, okay, we gotta go find a way to fix the defense.
Mhm.
If he's not, it better be Liam Cohen as your coach, and we get to go find a defensive coordinator. Either way, this is gonna be a fun damn off season. I
Mhm.
can't wait for the excitement. But yeah, also Jared Cox. Love all these comments back to back to back.
Mhm.
But yes, we do need to get on the all 22 defense mostly. Braswell, absolutely.
Mhm. Yeah, no, definitely. We'll definitely be hitting the film. We got some plans in the works, or work in the plans, I should say, as far as, as far as film studies. We have draft content coming. We have free agency content that we're going to be looking at. A lot of stuff. We're probably going to have the live streams probably move to a bi-weekly scheduling, as far as like a live stream every other week. And that will allow us to do, film studies on certain guys, especially in the draft and targets. And we'll also do, like Jared is saying, film studies on the current roster and certain players that can take the next step next season and hopefully improve. Graham Barton, will definitely be one to look at and see how he can get better. And then, yeah, defensively for sure. So it's going to be a lot of defensive players that we'll be looking at.
Yeah.
And obviously, if there's any news that takes place, we'll try to break it to you guys as soon as we can. Um, but overall, yeah, we'll see how it plays out. I think these coaching searches and who gets those jobs is going to play a decision into, or factor into, what the Glazers are thinking. So just got to keep our eyes open, and hopefully Liam Cohen can stay. We can build some more continuity there on offense, and defensively. Hopefully, we see some changes made for the staff and get more uh, different as far as the game plan goes, and be a little bit better in that aspects.
Well, one more take from David Zusman. He says he
Mhm.
thinks Bowles is a great coach. I think people over or underestimate his achievements and overestimate his mistakes.
Mm.
So, with that said, the Commanders are up 38-28 to the Lions right now in the biggest game of their season right now.
Yeah.
The Bucs only allowed 23 points to the Commanders, and that happened at the last second.
Mhm.
They bent a lot. They didn't break a lot. They had fourth down turnovers. Yes. But they bent so much where the time of possession was astronomical. Like
Mm.
it's difficult. And like you say, it forces your offense to be
Yep.
perfect.
Yeah.
You didn't get the ball back to the offense to get more possessions to try and put points on the board. it's frustrating, but that's the defense that Todd Bowles runs, and it's based off of turnovers. You're staying on the field, making them have a high volume of throws. So usually that means more percentage of interceptions, more balls in the air, tip balls if you're stopping the run. That's where his big focus is.
Mhm.
We didn't get that at all. We didn't get one besides the 2 fourth down turnovers. We didn't get any turnovers forced. So it's like, yeah, I usually defend Bowles a lot. Like between Plus and I, Plus is like, get his ass out of here. I'm usually the one saying like,
Yeah.
no, no, like the continuity, I want it. His defenses are usually good.
Mhm.
Players love him.
Yeah.
Like I
I
think
just
it's
I
a free bug, but it's
Yeah, the biggest thing with me for Bulls, I just think his way of thinking, his overall philosophy, and how he goes about. I feel like it's too dinosaur for me.
yeah, I agree with it.
I just don't think he comes up with new ways to improve how he's playing his defense to modernize and adapt to what offenses are throwing to him. And I think that's the biggest thing. Like, and when you have coaches on your staff that have been with Todd Bowles since, I don't know, over 30 years, like he has relationships with these
Yeah.
guys that have been around forever. And it makes you wonder if these guys are just yes men. Like, who's challenging
Mhm.
Todd Bowles to be better? Like, who's challenging him on that side of the ball? Um, so that's the thing where it's like, I would like to move in a direction where I know offensively they are continuing to evolve and get better and find new ways. Like, I guarantee you, if Liam Cohen is offense coordinator for this team, we're not going to see what we saw this past season. He is going to find ways to adapt and change and modify and find ways to improve his weaknesses and build on his strengths. Not sure we're going to see that from Todd Bowles, even if the player talent is better. So it just makes you think, and love everyone that was in here. I love all the support, love all the comments. We really appreciate that. Check out, we came out with a video earlier, 9 o'clock, talking about this kind of same thing. I went more into player detail as far as overall season. Give us a like on that. Hit the like button for this live stream if you guys like this kind of content. We really appreciate it. And we got a lot more coming as the off season gets rolling here, and we're really excited to see how it plays out. Mark, any final thoughts before we end the stream?
Yeah, really quick. David made a good point of saying like we didn't get anyone for Todd Bowles like on his
Mhm.
defensive side because Jason Light didn't draft many players or sign anybody.
Mhm.
Yeah, I you can't fix everything every offseason.
Yeah.
Like it's not possible, right? You sure as hell fix an offense just based off of coaching. But defensively, you did draft a defensive end, edge rusher, right? You
Yep.
drafted a nickel corner, yet you got a starter in that one.
Mhm.
Um, you fix your center, right? So he fixed a lot. Jason Light, you can't blame it on Jason Light. Like he's
Yeah.
fixing a lot of holes. You can't fix everything in one season. So, and a lot of these guys are rookies that are playing high volume snaps and are contributing early, and
Mhm.
you're winning games with these guys. I'm not going to blame it on Jason Light at all. A lot of it is also input from that coach. Is a coach going to tell you, I need this, need to get better? Jason Light, yes, player personnel, understanding what needs to be filled, put it into the coach's hands, let the coaches coach. But I mean,
Mhm.
it it is frustrating when you're like, okay, he should have given more horses to use. Like you just said, like even if they did have better horses to use, would they be utilized correctly?
Yeah.
And a player of Jamel Dean's contract, he's not going to be a backup. He was
Mhm.
going to get played regardless.
Yeah.
It, there's just it's frustrating areas, and that plays also the loyalty thing because like even if he wasn't good enough, how long does it take him to bench him, right? Because that
Mhm.
Devin White wasn't benched until like the last 4 games of the season
Yeah.
because that was like his baby, right? Like,
Mhm.
I mean, I don't know, there's a lot of for and against. You can measure it both, right? Like I like Todd Bowles, but like I'm more leaning now. It's like, damn, like what direction should we go? And
Mhm.
to me, it's like I'm getting more against than for right
Yeah.
now
Yeah,
lately.
I feel the upside is just more with Liam Cohen, and it would be nice not to have to change your offense coordinator every year. When you have offense coordinator as your coach, I think you have a more advantage to build your roster and coaching staff in a more advantageous way than having Todd Bowles, who he's the leader of the defense, and that defense isn't performing to the way your standard should be. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I think a lot of additions are going to be made, and we'll
On the
see
defensive
how.
side.
Yeah, on the defensive side for sure. So it should be fun. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Be sure to hit that like button. Let me add that. There we go. Be sure to hit that like button. Comment down below your thoughts of the 2024 season. What are you looking forward to most in 2025 for this Buccaneers team? We'd love to hear from you guys. And with that said, everyone have a great week and go Bucs.